My wondering is, as the observer is the observed, that's almost like a third thing. I've wondered about this for some time. I know that there's really nothing, and yet it's almost like in between the perspective of human and divine, there's a third thing created that's like the hologram of both in a way, that's kind of gradually assumed or something like that. Um, can you say anything about that? And some of it comes from, traditions where there's like a trinity sort of, or even like with the Heart Sutra, there's form is formlessness and formlessness is form. And then it's like we're something, this mysterious thing in between all of that. So that's my wondering.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. The
Mm,
Trinity, like I've heard that. Actually, the only place that I've heard the Trinity spoken of is most probably in Christianity, and also Bentinho. I don't know his last name. I forgot how to say his last name. Like he has like a Trinity Academy. So I don't know
okay.
what people mean by that. Maybe
Oh,
you have to
okay.
explain it a bit more to me, and then I can get a sense of it.
Hmm. Well, it's like, um, and I think it's also in Indian culture. There's Shakti and Shiva and well, I didn't come prepared with examples.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just been the idea that
there's
um,
three.
right, right, and I believe it's also in the Gurdjieff work as well, which is so anyway, that um, I don't know if I can explain it anymore other than there's I guess another way to ask this question might be asking you about in your experience of um, no self, or not, like an the dissolving of Lisa, that that there's still this character that feels itself more connected with
Mm.
a coexisting reality that's not this physical one. And so it's like the identification of the human switches from form to formlessness, which is felt with the heart, which is navigated in a different way. And that it seems, I mean, in my experience, that seems gradual, like a gradual sort of shift or building of an energetic self that recognizes and sort of begins to swim in this reality. I don't know if that makes sense.
I really want to get on board, but I'm not sure I know what you're talking.
Okay.
Like I really like the ideas and the words and everything, and I can feel like yeah, but I just can't. My brain can't match up all the words.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you listening so well. I'm trying to I'm curious, to sort of discover, anyone else that has, sort of a similar experience of, because everyone is so different
Yeah.
in their um, sort of dissolving into the mystery or experiencing it, and and perhaps we get like these ideas that sort of frame it in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? So anyway, I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to mind, but I don't know if it's the same as what you're talking about. So if it's not, um, yeah, it's the best that seems to come up. Is is that you have this there's so many different awakenings that can happen, but you have this moment where there is the detachment from the character, and that is like this expansion back into yourself. So when you're attached to the character, there is like this limitation, so your essence feels limited, but you don't really know that it's limited. And then when the detachment happens, it's like your essence shifts around with the character, so the character goes into the background, and then your essence like expands back into itself, so your sense of being and that empty looking goes back into itself, but the character is still there. So in the beginning I used to talk about no self, but I think that was more conditioning from the non-duality that I'd been exposed to, and then over the years that's begun to fall away, and I'm not exactly sure what people mean when they say that no self, because there's still, to me, a personality that comes in and out and is expanding and evolving with this realization. And that's like the human element of it. So it's like you have this personality which, like, so you have this awakening, and then this personality kind of intellectually understands it and then begins to embody it more and more in the human world. And I don't get the sense that ever ends, because when you look at anything in life like that everything is always endless. Like knowledge is infinite, and I suppose our capacity to embody this is infinite.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. And so, I mean, like what you're saying does resonate with what I'm trying to describe, because there's a feeling of sort of like grasping how to navigate it gradually, as like accepting the character and also accepting that there's not a character. So it's like learning how to be in the world but not of it, right?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and really accepting that the character can never really live up to the ideal of enlightenment. I mean, maybe that's maybe not the same for everybody, maybe it manifests differently, but that the character really never becomes enlightened. Like the character evolves to this, but really accepting our humanity, like our humanness in all its colors. And I do think that from this realization, it makes you look more at the character, and also this realization shifts the character. So it makes it expand more. But there is also this humanity here, like we have to eat, we have to consume, we have to live in the confines of a society. Like we're not singular animals like a tiger, we're a collective animal in a way, like we live in a colony. We live like in a beehive, like of humans, like accepting relationships, accepting that communication always has shortcomings. So, and communication and relationships are so interlinked. So accepting that communication is always something that we have to aspire to perfect. So in relationships, that we can all do better at our communication, we can all do better at our listening, we can all do better at conceptualizing our understanding of each other. So there's always potential for growth, there's always a potential for expansion, there's always a potential for a deeper human understanding of non-duality, of how it fits in with being human.
That's so beautiful. And what I think of when you say that is like how, see, and I've never explored this with anyone, but like that there's a constant, we're all sort of like, well, like what you're saying with the communication, that's what you demonstrate so beautifully in these meetings, is that you're always meeting the other person where they're at, rather than, you know, talking at them about something. So in a way, you're meeting the other as yourself, who, you know, the other is yourself with a different understanding, and so you're supporting them in being lifted, rather, you know, like empowering, right?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's really nice.
And I mean, that's what I love about you so much, is that you're it's like you're demonstrating it not by the words you say, but by the energy of how you're doing it.
Oh,
I have tears in my
that's
eyes as I
beautiful.
say.
Thank you for saying that. Like, yeah, that's really beautiful. Like, it's not intentional. Like, I'm not conscious that I'm doing that, but it's really beautiful to have that reflected back.
Yeah, because I mean, you're demonstrating how it's not the words, it's not the concepts, it's not anything other than the presence that it's all coming from. And so, anyway, in that regard, I also want, like I love the work of Carl Jung and how he speaks of that we're all there's the unconscious is always being it's always sort of coming forward to be recognized in a way, and what I mean by this is the collective, like our, our prehistoric, like
Yeah,
like what we've evolved
yeah,
from is like it's
yeah,
like how the fuel we put in our cars was actually a peat bog once, right? I mean, so it's like we're putting in our cars something that was plants millions of years ago, and in the same way our misunderstanding of ourselves and the world and our hatred and all those incomprehensible you know clashes actually come from a history of misunderstanding, and so today we're all kind of gradually dissolving that, and it's not personal, it's all
yeah. And I think that's so beautiful. Like, that's such an important part. Like, I don't really know how to express that, but it's that you, on the human level, we can't be separate from our society.
right.
So we all have to digest all the karma of society together. You
Yes.
can have people that are at the front of that, but maybe they go to the back of it eventually. Like, so you can have people that are pushing it forward, but that doesn't mean anything because everybody has to do it. Because they're the ones that are going to have the next children, and the next children. It's like we as humans are one in a way. We're like a beehive, and so on the human level, it has to be a collective waking up, like a collective shifting, and it is happening. You can see that, like it's coming so much more into consciousness. The idea of psychology, the idea of our connection with our environment, the idea of spirituality, the God not being like a singular male figure that lives up in the sky on top of a cloud. Like, all of this is coming more and more into our collective consciousness. I can feel it.
Right. And it's like nothing was wrong. It's like those ideas we needed, like
Yeah,
historic, whatever,
yeah,
they were necessary for us to cope or whatever, but now they are like a burden and a weight
yeah,
or a karmic, just it's something like our, worshiping something outside of ourselves or,
yeah,
giving meaning to
yeah.
um but anyway, I love how you demonstrate that, like in it's just a reminder that it's like in how we look at each other and the tone of voice and the littlest things, and um, um, just how much of an impact that makes, so in terms of like even like with the on the human personal level, we care for ourselves, then we can I don't it's just so it's like it's allows us to sort of lift the other one up when particular in the moment when we least want to is so that it's like um you know, like when it seems the least obvious, when someone's being a complete asshole, and remembering that that's me. That's me as a little child, you know, without just like wanting to have a fit, or you know, whatever way can be framed to make it, to remember that it's innocent, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just lovely talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. That was really beautiful. I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Really
Bye bye.
nice. Yeah, lots of love to you, Donna. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
That's so sweet. God, we're having like a love fest tonight. A love fest.